Hello, hello. Thanks everyone for joining. In case you can't hear me, maybe send a quick message to the chat or something, but I hope it's working. Let's give it like maybe 1 more minute to wait for any other participants to join before we kick off. All right, looks like we're complete. Let me also share my screen here. We have a nice background. There we go. Hope this is working. Let's see. Wonderful. Yeah, so today will be more interactive sessions. So I would please ask you if you have any questions that came up during the first week of the hackathon. Please just unmute yourself and ask me about it. I'm happy to help. And otherwise, if there are no questions, I will maybe just talk a bit more about the concept of AMMs in general and what specific tools we are looking to build. But yeah, today is really planned to be more of a Q&A session, and there's not really a presentation or anything that I will share with you. Let me also see if I need to approve anyone to speak, but I think you should be able to just unmute yourself and say something. Okay, I see a raised hand. Let me see. Okay, I can ask to unmute. Okay, hello. Oh, sorry.
Hi.
So again, I had speakers on mute. Please start over. I hear you now.
Okay. I was in the first session, and I think I understood correctly because I had an idea for JediSwap. That was my idea, but it wasn't aligned with what you are looking for. At the moment, I am building up something else, and I wanted to ask if there is any specific mechanic to check for ownership on your liquid pool token. I mean, some API or some indexer already built that I can query without having to check for each liquid pool
Okay,
address.
understand. And maybe if you can give me a refresher on what project you're working on, that would help. Because as we said in the first session, there's like a couple of tracks that we have defined, but generally we are open to any idea that you want to build something. It might just be that the priority for other tools is maybe a bit lower for us, but overall we're open to any contribution. So whatever you're working on, I'm sure it's interesting. And secondly, please specify a bit more what you mean by ownership. Do you mean ownership of LP tokens or who deploy the whole contract?
No, LP tokens, yes. And
Okay.
the problem was not on your side. It was my idea that wasn't really well set up. So when I asked, I just realized that it was not in line with what you
Okay.
were looking for.
I would still love to learn more about your idea and approach and what you're building, and maybe to quickly answer that ownership question. So for the current version of JediSwap, which is live on mainnet, which is like the full range liquidity, there's no API right now because it's down, but it will be available, I think, after we launch the next version. So in like the next 1 or 2 weeks, the API should be available again. And you can also, I think, do you want to query for all LPs or just you want to check if a specific address holds LP tokens? What's the query exactly that you're looking for?
Yeah, the idea was to create incentives for people to invest in the LP in
Yeah.
the liquid pools of JediSwap because it was in line with your
Okay,
bounties.
yeah, I see.
The idea was to check if a connected wallet was an investor and to give a service or to give a special uh, like for example to create a game and
Yeah.
you can step up in the levels of the game if you are an investor, just an example.
Okay, I see. Actually, for that use case, I think you can work with that even without the API, because if you just like if you want to just check for the connected address, you can just it's like a read-only RPC call to the contract to check if that address holds any LP tokens. I think that's pretty
Yes.
feasible. But of course, I understand it would be even more easier if you can run it with the indexer, but that's right now not available, unfortunately. Um, have you tried checking with just like RPC call on the pool contract?
No, but I just it's because I'm not proficient in Cairo, you know.
Yes,
So
okay.
I was looking for if there was something easier, but I've done the workshops of
Okay.
Cairo, so I should be able to. Anyways, if I find any problem, any issue, I may get in contact with you on Discord for that. I
Just
don't
want to
wanna.
say, yeah, I'm happy to look up how you can make the query, and I can share it in the Discord channel, because I think you don't even need to be that familiar with Cairo. I think it's enough if you use you're using what other languages, JavaScript or Python, or what's like the higher level side of it.
JavaScript and TypeScript is
Okay,
the
I
are the
I think with the Starknet or Cairo libraries in JavaScript, you can, like, same as for Web3 libraries, you can just query the contracts through the RPC. You don't need to know the Cairo
okay.
part. I
Okay,
will look it up for you. I will help you with that. Um,
thank you. Thank you so
and
much.
what's like the other part of the logic? Like, how do you want to
Um,
like build the incentive, or like is the game participation act as the incentive, or how was that thought?
I don't know because honestly, I am more of a game developer,
Oh,
but
cool.
I have, I mean, my experience is in game development, but I also have an interest in DeFi, and so and I have some templates, some smart contract templates that I've been creating in a Solidity course I have done. So I could use like Nimbora mixed with the JediSwap with the JediSwap ownership check and allow people to use a strategy, um, investment strategy built on the Nimbora bridge
Yeah.
uh, and allow people that have an investment on the liquidity pools in JediSwap to use a particular customized strategy for on Nimbora. It would be an idea. Okay, I'm exploring. You know, there are a lot of ways of building up this kind of strategies inside a gaming UI. But I'm not sure I will have the time to make it. So maybe
Yeah, I
I
mean,
will just.
it can be just a proof of concept or some high level thing, but it sounds really cool. I like the idea. Um, yeah, that makes sense. But
Yeah, it's connecting two bounties. So
yeah. Yeah, I think it's very helpful if it's like gamified. The motivation for users is much easier, because very often if you just get like some NFT or points or whatever, it's maybe everyone is doing it, but if it's something more gamified, it can be also more special. So it maybe is more engaging for the users.
yeah,
Um,
I
yeah.
use I create games that are very small with JavaScript and run on your phone. So when maybe you are in line for something, you can play the game in 5 minutes while you wait, and you can earn something.
Yeah.
And then uh, like a compounding effect. Okay, you
Yeah, that's
can
cool.
just ideas that I'm setting up while listening to your jamming
Makes sense.
sessions.
That's cool. And so Nestor, I think there's only another participant. Nestor, if you have any questions, just unmute yourself. Otherwise, I will maybe now try to just walk you through how you could get the balance of of one of the LPs on the contract side, but then I will check up how to do it in JavaScript or TypeScript because I don't have that ready, but we can just check on the Block Explorer. I can show you how this could work in theory.
Got it.
So,
Thank you, Colin.
okay, cool. And if you have, if you have any questions, just chime in.
Yeah, same way that Yield. I'm just exploring on different ideas, and I would like to ask you like what you and your team are excited about this hackathon in terms of what will be some ideas that you expect developers to build on. That would be great.
Yeah, sure. Maybe I can just quickly have the slides here again from last time, which Rohit presented. Let me see. So one thing is the swap routing, which at the moment is just based on the same logic as Uniswap, which I think is okay for most users. I think there's a limit of the amount of routes it can take for one single swap. It can take, I think, 5 branches or something. But of course, the swap logic can potentially be improved by adding other conditions to it or making it smarter in some way. I think there's a lot of the design space for the swap routing can be quite broad, but it probably quickly gets to a point where it's just too gas intensive because the balance is to not cost too much gas, but still give you the best price. So that's probably an optimization game on the swaps. And the other part is the main focus is actually the incentive distributions, because for full range liquidity, so that's like Uniswap version 2 type pools, it's not that difficult because it's totally fungible. So every liquidity provision is just an ownership of the pool and they all treat it the same. They all provide the same liquidity. So you could just have a staking contract where people can deposit their LP tokens, and then you can have some modifications. You can incentivize people that they are deposited for a long time. So you could have something like where the incentives increase the longer someone is staked, or you could have other incentives that, for example, you incentivize pools based on the volume they attract, and you can have like a mechanism like that, which is, I think, a lot of the VE free solidly dexes, they have something in that direction. But yeah, overall, I think the V2 type staking is pretty simple in the contract design, and it's more about the incentive model, which you can influence a lot. And in the V3 type concentrated liquidity, it's actually pretty difficult to find a good way to distribute incentives that cannot be manipulated or gamed. Because if you incentivize, for example, volume, then people can just create very large LP positions and trade against themselves or things like that. It's like there's a lot of secondary effects, and I think it's an interesting exercise if you come up with some incentive model, then you can try to figure out, okay, so how could this specific model be exploited? Like not exploited in terms of hacked, but just like used in a way it was not intended to. So I think, yeah, those two approaches, the economic design and the contract design of incentive models is our main focus right now. Let me know if that's sort of clear or if you want to dive deeper in any aspect of that.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you.
Okay, wonderful. Yeah, and let me know if you have any ideas on that, or what sort of things are you looking at, Nestor? What were you thinking of building during this hackathon?
Right now with JediSwap, I was just exploring these ideas, but from now, with these ideas that you share, I'm gonna start to think about on what to
Cool.
build.
Do you have any expertise in DeFi products, or have you worked on AMM protocols before?
Yeah, just a little bit. But
Okay.
yeah, mostly in Solidity, same as Yield, not too much in Cairo.
Yeah, it's probably the same for most. To be very honest, I'm also not super proficient in Cairo. I'm sort of in between the developer guild and the growth guild, so I'm trying to do as much as I can and also learn more about it. But yeah, I'm also mostly familiar with Solidity. I'm not a Cairo pro, unfortunately. Yeah, it's a bit hard to get used to it.
I have experience. Sorry. Excuse me.
No worries. So you say again, experience with
Rust. I have
Rust.
experience.
Oh, okay.
I've been using Rust for a while, but not for DeFi. Not for
Yeah.
DeFi. So it's a challenge, anyways. Um,
But
uh,
so Cairo is pretty similar to Rust, I guess. That's why maybe it's helpful to have that background. And I guess also have you looked at Solana DeFi at all? Because that should then also be easier for you because it's in Rust.
yeah, it's absolutely fantastic, Solana in DeFi, but it's pretty advanced. I mean, they have indexing and APIs for you can basically build almost anything in the front end. The only thing that you cannot build in the front end is flash loans
Yeah.
and liquidators.
Yeah, makes sense. Those are more in the like basically automated bots. Um, but that's pretty cool that you have experience in Rust, and I would also probably say it's interesting in Starknet because the ecosystem is not that far advanced yet, which can like the positive thing is there's a lot of tools that have not yet been built, so you can sort of be a part of forming the ecosystem in that sense. In Solana, as you said, everything is already done with APIs and everything is available. And in
Yeah.
Starknet, it's more like you can probably contribute more to the growth of the ecosystem.
Yeah, this is why I like the idea of Starknet. It's the second hackathon that I participate. And the first one I couldn't submit the project, but yeah, I'm interested in it. Starknet is a pretty interesting technology, honestly.
Cool.
I was, I think while speaking about flash loans, the rebalancing vaults for passive LPs. Um,
Yes, yes, yes. I think
it's
that's actually also one of our tracks. Give me one moment. We should also have a slide about. Ah, yeah, this is this one here, LP tools. Yeah, the one I had open here. Yes, sorry, go ahead.
no, I was interested in like the idea of rebalancing vaults that you have because I don't know Gamma and Arrakis, but I know some vaults on Ethereum.
Which
So
ones do you know? Because Gamma and Arrakis are probably the biggest ones.
I know the Angle protocol, which is basically protocol built on these vault managers that
Yep.
are smart contracts that allow you to borrow against liquid.
LP tokens, right?
Yeah, they are not only LP tokens. You can choose to do it. You can choose. Each vault has its own token.
Yeah.
Some of them are LP tokens,
But
and it's very interesting because it's the debt is automatically repaid, basically. So,
but it's not
um,
like okay, if that's what you meant by rebalancing, maybe I misunderstood because the things I know from that's Gamma and Arrakis basically. If you have a LP position, let's say you are in the Ethereum versus USDC pool and in a concentrated liquidity range, so maybe you provide liquidity plus minus 5% from the current price. And then you
yes,
can have, if you put it into a tool like Arrakis, it will basically rebalance your LP position when it hits any of the ranges. So if the price goes up, it will buy back some ETH and provide a new LP position with a new range. So that's a different use case, but I think also the rebalancing in terms of auto repayment of the debt, like you described from Angle, I also know them, by the way. It's a very good team, Angle Protocol. It's very impressive. It's like two completely different use cases, I think, but both are interesting.
Yeah, I understand Arrakis is basically it's against impermanent loss, right?
Yeah, so basically you cannot really avoid impermanent loss, but you can just you try to maximize the fees you earn, so that you basically offset the impermanent loss you suffer, because you're still gonna suffer the impermanent loss. It's very hard to avoid it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, thank you. I like the Angle protocol too, honestly, because the idea it's very balanced, very interesting for a borrowing protocol. So I don't know if you guys would like to create something similar on your platform, but I think it's a
Yeah.
smart idea.
Or it could maybe be a collaboration with another lending protocol. Like on Starknet, there is CK-Lend and Nostra, which are both, I think, the main ones. So if they would accept JediSwap LP tokens as collateral, then you could build something similar to what you described, right?
Yeah. Yes. Because the idea is that the yield of the LP tokens allows the debt to be automatically repaid.
Yeah. Yes.
And also, yeah, the Angle protocol as the mechanics of the liquidators are fantastic. Absolutely
How does it
fantastic.
work there with the liquidations?
Um, because there is a mechanic that keeps all the Vault Manager smart contract healthy by allowing liquidators. There is the liquidator basically gets the tokens inside the Vault Manager and pays the debt with the tokens inside the Vault Manager. Um, and the whole thing is done in one swap. And if there are not enough token inside the Vault Manager to repay the debt, the liquidator is allowed to get a flash loan inside the
Yep.
protocol. And also there is discount mechanic based on the ownership of their tokens. But yeah, this is only for
Okay, that's pretty fascinating indeed. And by the way, just talking about Angle Protocol, I don't know if you also looked at Merkle, which is also a platform built by the same team. And
yes.
that's basically for incentive distribution. So they could also be relevant for our hackathon tracks, is actually to build something similar to Merkle, which is an
Yeah,
off-chain system
it's an
to distribute.
off-chain.
Yeah,
Yeah. I don't like it because it's off-chain.
that's a good point. It's a very good point. But it's all, like the trade-off is if you do it on-chain, it's probably very gas intensive, no?
Yeah, that's true. That's true too.
So
Okay.
I also don't like that it's off chain, but it's still it's very interesting how they solved it, and maybe some parts of it could be brought on chain. I don't know, but it's something that could be explored.
Yeah, gas it's not a problem on Starknet, not as in
Yes,
Ethereum,
exactly.
for
Yeah,
sure. Okay. Okay, thank you.
you're
Very
welcome. Also,
interesting chat.
thanks for your comments. That's indeed very helpful. I think we have actually someone else who joined in the meantime. Yeah, Evans. If you have any questions, also just unmute yourself and speak. Happy to exchange some ideas.
Hi, good evening,
Hey,
everybody. Can you hear me?
good to meet you.
All right. I've been trying to study the JediSwap documentation for some time. So I think I found some of the, although I think some of the implementations I found we are using Cairo Zero. So
Yes, for the old contract, like for the current contracts, there's I think still some part in Cairo Zero that's correct. But if you have any trouble with that, happy to connect you also with our devs, so happy to help there. What sort of project are you looking to build, or what's your idea on for the hackathon?
Okay, my team and I we are planning to get our hands on maybe two two projects, one by the side. Then want to make the main project to be a kind of a bridge, a token bridge from maybe Ethereum to Starknet or any other chain. But then it's going to bridge to Starknet, and then the next project is going to be a decentralized exchange that also reports gas price at any given time and also has a page for tokens on Starknet. It are
Okay,
going
and
to
that would be like a
implement
decentralized
JediSwap.
exchange like Uniswap V3, or they would be more like an aggregator, or what? How would that work?
Yeah, we are looking at a Uniswap model using JediSwap for the maybe add liquidity swap for tokens and all those ones.
Okay, really cool. So you would basically use JediSwap under the hood, or you would create a fork and create a similar platform?
We are using JediSwap. I think we don't have time to build from scratch.
Okay, cool. Sounds good. Yeah, and if like any questions apart from the Cairo Zero in the docs, I'm happy to check that with our devs if there's anything to be aware of. But other than that, any obstacles you encountered?
No, nothing for now. We are good.
Okay. All
Thank you.
right. I will quickly try to look up for the getting the LP token balances for what we discussed in the beginning of this call. Let me see if I can do it on screen. Otherwise, as I said, I will share it in the Discord, but we can quickly try to look up some of the
Thank you.
JediSwap contracts. Let me see if I can find it. I don't have it, I think, open here. Let's see. Can you actually still see my screen, or is it like on the presentation screen, or is it the JediSwap homepage now?
I can see it.
Okay, cool. Let me see. I don't know if I can figure it out quickly enough because I think we only have a couple more minutes left, but let's see. So, all right. So basically for the pair contract, I will try to find one example in the blockchain explorer on on Voyager. But basically you would check this function, like same as you do for ERC20 tokens on EVM chains, you just check the balance of a specific LP token. And then if you want to translate that balance into tokens, you basically divide the balance by the total supply and multiply it by the reserves of the pool. So let's say if someone has balance of, I don't know, 1,000 and total supply is 10,000, you would have 0.1 ratio, right? So 1,000 divided by 10,000. And then you can multiply that 0.1 with, where is it? Sorry, reserves. Should be somewhere. Moment. Yeah, you could get the reserves then with this function. This should be possible, but yeah, probably better if I send some explanation in the Discord because then I can also check it with our devs to make sure I'm not saying anything wrong there. But the logic would just be you try to figure out how much of the pool token is held by the specific address that you're interested in. and then you multiply that ownership ratio with the pool reserves. Or do you actually only need to know if they are a holder in the pool and not how much they hold?
Well, I don't know. I was thinking of a Boolean, but if I think about, like, for example, the Angle protocol, they allow only, they have like a ladder. If you have $20, then it's disadvantage. If you have $80, it's another advantage, etc. So
Yeah.
it's probably useful to know the percentage. I mean,
Okay, yeah, that's a good point actually. Let's see. So the Boolean you can do very simple. If balance of returns something other than 0, then they're definitely an LP. But to figure out how much they hold is then the next step, I would say.
yeah, like if it's a game, you probably want them to invest a certain amount of money
Yeah.
to get the rewards. So it's useful.
All right. Let me try to see. So you can basically, with the factory, you can check the pools that were created. Let's try to look at one of them. You can find a specific pool. So here's the DAI Ethereum pool, for example. And so if I go to the DAI Ethereum pool, so you would of course do this.
I don't see anything in the screen. I'm sorry.
Oh,
I just see the presentation.
Ah, it's still on the presentation screen. Oh, I'm sorry. I was going through the docs before. I was sharing the docs on the screen. That's not very helpful if
I'm
you can't
sorry.
see it. No worries. I will share again now. Full screen this time. Okay. So now you should see the block explorer.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm now, let me actually go back a couple of steps. This was just one example. So I was looking at the factory contract. So this is the factory that creates the pools. This is exactly the same logic as Uniswap, and it emits an event when a pair is created. So I was using this to find a pool. So I'm just basically, I went back to very old transactions and I checked one of the deployments. And that was to deploy the DAI Ethereum pool, which you can see here, JediSwap DAI/ETH pool. And in that pool contract, I will go to the pool contract. And you could then do the same thing just through the TypeScript, JavaScript libraries. It should be not so difficult because all you need is this address here for the ABI and the address where it is deployed. But yeah, as I said, let me follow up on that in Discord. So then I can check, for example, the name of the pool or the symbol. Let me query the symbol. So I get like the JediP, that's the same for all of them. It's also the same for all. And then I can get the balance of a specific account. So if I check, I think I have some Starknet wallet here. One moment.
Yeah, it's the balance of, yeah.
Yeah, let me just get some example address. There's not much money on here. So if I query this, I don't think it has any balance, so I will get balance 0. So this address is not a holder of the pool. But if you had any other balance here, you could then divide that balance with the total supply, which you can find here. So let's say just for example, that total supply was as before 10,000 and balance was 1,000. That would mean that this address holds 0.1 times these reserves. So this is the reserve of token 0 and the reserve of token 1. And then you have to check for the decimals. So you can check here which token it is. So token 0 is, for example, the DAI stablecoin. That means token 1 is Ethereum. Let's go back. And so that way you could figure out exactly how much tokens that address holds in the LP. I hope that helps.
Yeah, thank you. And I was looking into the RPC request API on Voyager, so thank you for directing me
Oh,
to.
okay, yeah, if you can use that, that would of course be great. I think that should probably be very easy to use.
Very easy, very fast.
Okay, perfect. Then I
Okay.
hope that works for your use case, and otherwise just ping us on the Discord. We're happy to help. Yeah, I think otherwise that would conclude the session for today. Or Evans, if you still have any questions, or Chilled, if I call it that, just let me know if there's anything that we didn't discuss. Otherwise, see you next week.
Bye. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. And also thanks for interacting a lot. I was a bit scared because if no one would have any questions, then the session would have been very boring.
Nice chatting. Nice. Thanks.
Yes, thank you.